Hello, John aka Chicken Fillets here. Now today I get to talk about one of my favourite things, which is music. Now, recently my band the Julian Year released our new EP, The Price of Freedom. Now this got me thinking about, well, JRPG Soundtracks. And the reason for that is a lot of the tracks from the new EP is influenced by JRPGs. Put the two and two together. So yes, I've given myself the task to tell you the 5 best JRPG soundtracks. Now bear in mind, this is not the be-all end-all list of soundtracks, these are my personal favourites. Now in this standard fare of things, you know what to do. Tell me what your 5 favourite JRPG soundtracks are. Now before we get cracking on, if you like JRPGs, JRPG soundtracks, and a wee Scottish guy talking about it, you know what to do by now. Now anyway, let's see what the 5 best JRPG soundtracks are. Let's have a look.
Persona 4 Golden, the Atlas JRPG, which was originally released on the PlayStation 2, however the Golden Edition was released on the PS Vita with further ports to the likes of the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch and PC. Now in this Atlas classic, we follow our protagonist, a high schooler who has moved to the small town of Inaba. Now during his year's stay, he'll be attending high school there, however, he will be embroiled in finding out who is murdering people within this small village. And after a hard day's work at school, why not a bit of dungeon crawling in the TV world? There is the turn-based combat where you will be using the powers of personas to help you win against the enemy. So the soundtrack is amazing for Persona 4 with its catchy, upbeat songs. It's so infectious. Now these songs were composed by Soji Mugero. Now I've probably hashed that name, so I am sorry. 3 examples of my favourite tracks on this. Well, first of all, we have A Corner of Memories, the introduction to Persona 4. Followed by the song Signs of Love with its poppy, upbeat tempo and its cool vocal lines. And of course, you cannot forget the theme of Junes. The soundtrack doesn't stop there. It has fantastic battle themes which has roaring guitars and drums behind it. It's just such an amazing soundtrack, and what really makes Persona 4 Golden, well, golden. That was bad. Fire Emblem Three Houses, the Nintendo Switch strategy JRPG. Now in this we follow our protagonist Blythe or Blith or blah 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 blah, or as the students call them, Professor. Now in this you are a professor of the military academy Garagma, and you will choose one of 3 houses to lead. Depending on the house you pick is the way that the story will go. And with any Fire Emblem game, yes, you could expect the strategic turn-based combat. Now, not only is this in my top 5 JRPGs of all time, it is in my top 5 best soundtracks. I mean, this is how good this game is. Now, doing my research on who composed the Fire Emblem soundtrack, well, it was primarily composed by Takeru Kanazaki, Hiroki Morishita, and Rei Kanoda. I'm sorry for my mispronunciations, I am really bad with it. Now I have to say my top 3 tracks out of this, well, let's start off with the battle theme, Fodland Winds. Then we have the epic operatic number, God-Shattering Star. And of course we have the fantastic battle theme, Tearing Through Heaven. Fire Emblem Three Houses is such an amazing game with an amazing soundtrack behind it, and if you've not played this JRPG, get on it, it's fantastic. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the Nintendo Switch JRPG. Now in this massive JRPG, we follow Rex and Pyra on their journey to Elysium. Now in battle, you'll be able to switch between different blades, aka your supporting characters, which will give you different attacks. Now Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is an absolutely special game for me. This was the game which made me want a Nintendo Switch. I never seen a JRPG with this size and scale. But one thing I had not also heard before was an epic soundtrack like this before. So again, looking into who composed the soundtracks, and yes, I will give you full warning, I will probably mispronounce names again, you know I'm not doing it on purpose. Now the game had various composers with this, most notably the likes of Yoshinori Mitsuda, who worked on the likes of Chrono Trigger, Xenogears. You have the likes of Kenji Hiramatsu, and Ace, a duo who has contributed to the likes of the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and Mananami Kyoto. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 soundtrack has it all, rocky tracks, it has upbeat pop songs, operatic epics, so much. But you want to know what my top 3 songs of this game are, don't you? No, we don't. The first track, Gormott, is an amazing piece. It gives you that sense of freedom in an epic environment. Now with any epic JRPGs, you need an amazing battle theme to go with it. And finally, the operatic sensation, More Ardain. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a fantastic JRPG with a brilliant soundtrack to boot, as you've heard from those samples there. If you have played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you've not played it, I think this is the time for you to go pick it up.
Now, before we get cracking on with the next pick, two quick things. If you like what you're hearing and seeing on the channel, you know what to do, subscribe. But the most important part here is, as I mentioned at the beginning, my band, the Julian Year, has released The Price of Freedom, our brand new EP. Check it out on the likes of Spotify and all the links down below. And if you want to purchase it, it's available for £5 on Bandcamp. Yeah.
The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 1, the epic Erebonia arc in the Legend of Heroes series. Now, this game was released on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, it is also on PS Vita, and it is also on PC. Now, with the third arc of the Trails of series, we are in Erebonia following Rain Schwarzer and Class 7. Sporting turn-based combat where you're able to move your characters around the field. Now listen, Legend of Heroes has got a lot of banging OSTs when it comes to the games, but for me this is one of the best out there. It's actually my favourite out of all the Trails games which I have played. So the music for most Falcom games is done by the in-house team Falcom JDK team. The soundtrack is so varied as well. It has got rocky soundtracks, it has got upbeat pop, everything you can think of, it is here. Now the first track gets your heart racing when you start up the game. It is the song Atrocious Raid. Or how about the upbeat, spacious blue sky? And another upbeat poppy song, After School Hours. Trails of Cold Steel 1 is such an epic game with such an awesome soundtrack, but if you have played this game, let me know what your thoughts were on it down below. Now before we get on with the final pick, I have actually got some honourable mentions because, well, I couldn't leave these two games out. Let's have a look. Sea of Stars, the indie JRPG from Sabotage Studios. Now this has got an epic soundtrack which was composed mainly via Eric W. Brown. Now I wanted to share two samples of some epic tracks from this JRPG. First of all, we have the epic boss battle theme Encounter Elite. And I'll leave you with this epic piece, Duplicatus Wrath Part 2. Harvest Stella, of course this game was going to get on this list. This action JRPG has a gorgeous soundtrack, so here is two samples of that soundtrack. First up, Those Who Resist Destiny. and finally To Eternity. Now with this all in mind, let's have a look and see what I consider to be the best JRPG soundtrack. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. Now in this we follow Cloud and party as they've just left Midgar and they're on the chase for Sephiroth. The game with its fully realised open world where you'll be able to visit iconic areas in Final Fantasy VII, and it has the dynamic combat system. Now of course, Final Fantasy VII was going to take the top spot, but for me I was trying to consider which Final Fantasy VII was going to hit the top spot, but after thinking about it, although that the original is outstanding and is probably one of the best soundtracks ever made, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth soundtrack is just bringing it to a next level. This soundtrack has brought so many of those childhood memories that I have and brought it to a full realisation with operatic versions of songs, rock versions of songs, poppy songs, and brand new songs to go with the game. So what are the 3 favourite thus far? Well, if you follow the channel, you'll know what's coming up. Yes, the Rufus Shinra welcoming ceremony there. What about the weapons cry? And finally, the warm and sunny feeling of the Costa del Sol. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a epic game, and it is on the way to be my game of the year. I mean, no surprise there. Now don't get me wrong, the original Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is amazing. However, this soundtrack is just taking those childhood memories and just remixed it to perfection. So there we have it, the 5 best JRPG soundtracks. What are your 5 favourite? You know what to do, leave them in the comments down below. Now if you like what you're hearing and seeing on this channel, well please help me grow it by liking, sharing and subscribing. And if you want to be kept up to date with everything Chicken Fillets, you know what to do, hit that notification bell. This has been John, aka Chicken Fillets, and until next time, tatty bye.